Press reset here, everyone, and what I'm about to present to you in this video may be shocking. It may even be disturbing, but everything you are about to see has been confirmed by multiple researchers. I am going to prove that this Ebola crisis you are being told about on the mainstream media is 100% deception. In fact, a large percentage of it is downright fabricated, fake, hoaxed. Now, there are multiple agendas at work here, multiple reasons why. In a nutshell, the corporate media, the major governments of this planet, and the major pharmaceutical corporations are all working together to formulate this psychological operation on the public in order to roll out a vaccine agenda, send Western military troops to Africa, and also to clamp down domestically in these Western countries, like the United States, like Spain, like Britain, like Canada. Okay? Clamp down and bring about a martial law type scenario. Now, we'll be getting more into the reasons why this is happening toward the latter part of this video. But first, I'm going to prove that much of what you're seeing about this Ebola outbreak, about this so-called Ebola crisis, is 100% being fabricated by the corporate media. Now, what I've done for this presentation is I have compilated an abundance of researchers' work, which goes to show and goes to prove what I'm saying here beyond a shadow of a doubt. So pay close attention here, guys, because there's going to be a lot of information in this video, and by the end of it, it's going to become obvious that this whole Ebola crisis is 100% deception.
This kid in the green shirt has brought, supposedly, according to this report, he's been brought here by his parents to this JFK hospital dying of Ebola.
20-year-old Ibaga Stiwo is sick.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Brother, what would you know?
His parents wait beside him. All signs point to the late stages of Ebola.
See, he's saying this is the late stages of Ebola. And this guy,
As sick as he is,
supposedly his dad.
he won't be allowed inside.
They do a whole report with Doctors Without Borders. They get back to this guy. They show him again. Now look at this guy. He's the one that's moaning on the ground and horribly sick. Now watch him.
After a few hours outside,
Whoa, suddenly he's moving his head pretty fast. Doesn't look nearly as sick as before. And his eyes aren't red either. I've watched some of these other New York Times videos where they talk about what these people look like in their dying throes of Ebola. They have red eyes. They're pretty easy to tell apart from the rest of the crowd. That guy's out there moving around. Now they show him again later. He's laying on the ground. They're saying people won't look at him because they think he has the virus. This guy comes out and says the hospital's full. Now watch this guy. Oh, look, now he's sitting up. And he's not nearly as sick as he looked before. He's definitely not moaning anymore.
Ibaga was finally admitted.
Yeah, he's just hanging out there. And they're not being quarantined. They're not being questioned. Nothing.
So all signs point to the late stages of Ebola, do they? This guy looks as healthy as anything. Have a look, just rolling around. His skin looks good, his face looks good. There's no urgency with the old man and the mother. This guy, give him a bit of water, no problems. There's nothing wrong with this guy. Where's the stages of, Ebola? Is he vomiting? Is there vomit all over his mouth and lips? Yeah, no worries. Calm as you like. This guy's just rolling over. Have a look at that face. That's Ebola, is it? That's a guy in his late stages of Ebola. Looks one of the most healthiest guys I've ever seen.
There's no way this guy is sick. This guy is as healthy as any 20-year-old African can be. You could see it in his face. You could see it in his body. He does not have Ebola. No fucking way he has Ebola. And he just happens to be rolling around in the dirt. Ah, go and figure. This is such... New York Times should never be allowed to post anything ever again. Ever. Ever. For the rest of time. New York Times is done. You're finished, New York Times. It's over with. No one should ever trust you again. You fake one story, you fake them all. You have no credibility, New York Times. You are disgusting.
The late stages of Ebola.
Late stages of Ebola. You ever seen what the real late stages of Ebola look like? They look nothing like this. All right?
Now, watch his dad leave the scene.
Nothing I don't. Get there. Oh, wait.
Look at his hand. Do you see that? Do you see what's in his hand? That's a wad of cash.
Have a look at his right hand. He's got a swat of notes in his hand. He's been paid for his friggin' job of bullshit acting and he's off. See you later. Let's just slow it down and see as he walks away. He's got the swat of notes in his hand. Probably a year's pay for this guy. He's quite happy. Have a look at it. There he is.
So, this guy's walking away now after he dropped that guy off who, no offense, he didn't seem all that sick later on in the video, and he didn't look like he was in the dying throes of Ebola. He didn't have the red eyes. He didn't have the hemorrhagic rash anywhere. He wasn't bleeding. He didn't have any of those signs. I get that Ben Solomon of the New York Times said all the signs point to that, but I didn't see any of those signs just because he said it. Didn't make them magically appear. Now you got this guy walking away, and look at what's in his hand. Yeah, that's a wad of cash. You explain it to me. You tell me what's going on in this. You tell me what I'm supposed to take away from this when that guy was laying there moaning, didn't look sick, then suddenly later he's moving his head all around, he's sitting up. The people that have this are so weak and frail by the time they die, they can barely move their bodies. That guy did not look sick, okay? I'm just saying, if that guy's sick, I'm Mary Poppins and I just pulled a full-size light out of my purse and turned it on.
Yes, indeed, folks, this Ebola outbreak hoax is truly brazen and unbelievable. This stuff is so obvious, and this is breaking out of NBC DFW. That's NBC local news outlet out of Dallas. And this video is in regards to the third Ebola patient, Amber Vinson. And she, in this video, as you can see here, she's being transported from an ambulance to some sort of cargo plane. And there's a guy, not even dressed up in a hazmat suit right here, like not even a few feet away. Okay? Well, I mean, if this is a real Ebola patient, if this was actually, supposed to be a quarantine situation, he would not be here, okay? This is all staged.
Look, even the media is saying this, okay? So the plainclothes man at Ebola scene perplexes viewers. If this was a real Ebola patient, this guy would be nowhere near there, okay? Nowhere. That's why these people are in these suits. Of course, they're in these suits in order to convince you that it's happening, but they have completely discredited this by having this guy standing just a few feet away.
These people are all wearing costumes. That's what they are. They're costumes, okay? This is all a set. These are props, okay? This is a Hollywood production, basically. That's basically what it is.
And you can see she's got a face mask on, right? But she's not wearing a full mask like these guys are. And this guy's coming, he's coming right up to where, look, the stretcher's right there, the thing that she had on her, a blanket or whatever. And he's coming right up to the plane. And what's he doing? He put his coffee down there. I'm pretty sure that's a cup of coffee he just placed there.
And then you got this guy, not in any kind of protective gear or anything like that. He's helping them put her contaminated belongings into these hazmat bags. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, this does not make any sense. If this person was a real Ebola patient, this guy wouldn't be here, period. Okay, this is fake. I thought Ebola was infectious. I thought it was contagious. Didn't they report on a nurse that supposedly caught it, even though she had a hazmat suit on, right? And now this guy is sitting here without even anything on. He's obviously mingling with these folks. I mean, this whole thing is busted, okay? Busted.
If it was a real outbreak, if there was real Ebola in the United States, they would go through every extreme. They would make sure everything was sterilized. They would have this guy in special hospitals, military hospitals, maybe even on a ship out to sea. They would take every precaution. So they broke every precaution. They broke all the rules doing this, you know. And then if you look at the characters, of course, this Thomas Eric Duncan character has no history, really. His last Facebook, I mean, he has Facebook, right? But his last post was in 2011. All the photos of Thomas Eric Duncan have him wearing the same shirt. They were all taken on the same day. Go ahead and take a look. The neon green shirt, which I think is a perfect way that they color code these things to tell you that the sickness is here, right? That now the America's got it. This is the guy that brought Ebola to the United States. That's why they put him in the neon green shirt, right? And he hasn't updated his Facebook page since 2011. Guess what? His Facebook page has been taken down over the last couple days. Go and figure, right? Maybe because they're worried that people are looking too far into this. How is it that he's wearing the same shirt in every single photograph that's available on him on the internet? Right? And why is it a neon green shirt? That's because they're programming your mind. They're using that fear-based trauma to control you. Okay? And why is this green shirt so significant? Because it is all about programming your mind. Of course, the toxic colors that you think of when you think of green, right? Ebola itself, of course, comes in neon green when they put it under a microscope, right? And that's all by design. And if you don't believe me, if you think, well, Jack, you're reading too much into this, you know, you're seeing all this green stuff and you're going on about it. Take a look at this. Right here off of The Rundown, which is PBS. Just another bullshit news outlet here. Okay, pbs.org. What are they wearing over in Monrovia? I don't know, folks. What do you think? Ebola is real. Protect yourself. Even the rakes are green. They're all wearing the same color. It's all by design. It's all a fear porn campaign. It's all fucking fake. Okay? Anyways, they're programming you with the green, okay? They absolutely fucking are. It's in everything dealing with Ebola. Alright? And I could give you so many examples, just one after another, after another, after another, after another. Look at this one here. Alright? It's everywhere. The green shirt, right? Ebola, it's coming to get you. It's green, it's awful, it's evil, it's everywhere, and everybody who is involved in it is wearing the green, right? It's every fucking where dealing with this hoax. This is how they are programming you, folks. Ebola is real. Protect yourself.
But the people in West Africa in these countries, they do not believe that this is real. Actually, they believe it's a government conspiracy. You have to look further than the front page of the Daily Observer, or when they posted an article written by a doctor over there about how this was caused by the United States Department of Defense, who had been over in that area, in those three countries, the hot zone essentially, doing biowarfare research on Ebola and other such viruses. These people think that this is not real. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. There is a huge propaganda campaign going on in these countries to assure these people that Ebola exists and this is real. What do I mean by that? Let's take a look. Everywhere I'm seeing these signs, they are all over the place. Ebola is real. Ebola is real. Prevent the spread of Ebola. Happy Independence Day. Ebola is real. I mean, all over town, they have these signs everywhere posted that Ebola is real. And on top of that, they have the workers walking around wearing shirts that say Ebola is real. All different kinds here. Ebola is real. And on top of that, I saw this in the Globe and Mail. It says that there are billboards and posters visible on every main street and major building warning that it's real and it can kill. Just telling them it's real because they don't believe it. And how far has it gone with that? It's gone so far that they have a hit song over there right now that is the #1 song called Ebola is Real, funded by UNICEF. They got this song here, which I'm not going to play it for you because they will just pull my video off YouTube, but it's all auto-tuned. Ebola is real. It's just go listen to it for yourself, okay? It's actually pretty bad, I think. But it's a whole song about how Ebola is real and you can get it from people's blood and saliva and their semen and all this stuff. And that's the auto-tune version for the young crowd. And they even have a version for the older crowd in the style of the patriotic 1980s hit song Sweet Liberia. So they got two versions of a song called Ebola is Real that are the #1 video. And this is, of course, in the Atlantic, which, by the way, is a partner site to CFR.org, just so you know. So Ebola is real. And it goes on. This is not just a song and a bunch of signs and posters. This is also apparently to the point now that when somebody gets a phone call over in Liberia, a public service phone message comes on their phone before their phone call can come through, telling them Ebola is real. So you can't pick up a phone to receive a call without a little voice on the line telling you that Ebola is real. And this is over, of course, in the Voice of America, which is our propaganda arm. But they are talking about how DJs at clubs are also coming on the microphone in between songs and saying, Ebola's real, it's here. I've actually watched a lot of interviews as well with people over there. Everyone who is in any kind of leadership position whatsoever starts every interview over there with Ebola is real.
First of all, I want to tell the general public that Ebola is real, that nobody should deny the existence of Ebola.
This is what's going on. And it's a 24/7 campaign that is just happening. Here are people driving around with a car with a loudspeaker telling people Ebola is real over the loudspeaker, okay? Because people don't believe it exists over there. And they interviewed one woman here. She said, I don't believe it exists because when you get sick, they say it's Ebola. When you have cholera, they say it's Ebola. If your body temperature rises at all, they say it's Ebola. So honestly, I don't believe it exists. That's a reasonable reaction, actually. Anyway, so continuing. Ebola is real. It's real. It's real. It's real. It's so real. They just have to sing about it and have signs about it. They have to put it on their phone. It's on their radio and television. Everywhere these people go, Ebola is real. Liberians are literally awash in chlorine and Ebola 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on posters, TV, the radio, the paper. It's spray painted on the buildings. They got signs everywhere. They got the song. They got the phone calls. I mean, over here, they're telling us, right, that people are just dying in the streets, right? There's just people dying of Ebola and being left in the streets. There's all these people dying of Ebola. So if that's the case, why do they have to go to such extreme lengths to get people to believe that Ebola exists? Do you know what I'm saying? If people are literally just keeling over dying of Ebola in the streets left and right, because that's what they're reporting to us here in America. They're making it sound like it's just people dropping dead of Ebola left and right everywhere, just Ebola everywhere, right? But if that's the case, why are they having to work so hard to get people in Africa to believe it? That they have a campaign, not so much, I mean, first and foremost, it's not of how to protect yourself from Ebola. First and foremost, it's just telling them that it's a thing that exists.
All right, guys, so next we're going to check out this clip from CNN. It's a video report inside Liberia's Ebola crisis, published September 23rd, 2014. Now, let's just check this news report out. It's pretty obvious that a lot of this is staged and exaggerated, so let's just check it out.
I'm too tired, he says. Then summoning up his energy, he tries. For now, he's left where he falls.
Okay, so right away we got to ask, what's going on here? I mean, there's an ambulance here. The doors are wide open. This guy's naked. Nobody's helping him. There's no medical personnel around. He's not being quarantined. He's not being contained. These people, CNN people, are just filming this. What? I mean,
let's just watch that again so you don't get any confusion, okay? And you have to ask yourself, why the hell would they be leaving guys in the back of the ambulance like this? You know, half naked, or almost fully naked, except for the shirt he's got on. Well, there's only one reason. It's for the cameraman. That's what it's for. It's for to sell inside Liberia's Ebola crisis.
You got to question this stuff. I mean, and he's very exaggerated in his motions and the way he's acting. It just seems like it's staged to me. But moving on.
This little boy tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well. Get up and go inside.
Oh, really? You're trying to tell me that little boy just collapsed, okay? I mean, this is 100%, without a doubt in my mind, this is acting, okay? I mean, there is no question about this. They probably paid this kid like $100 to do this.
Or a guy, this is the kicker. This cinches it 100%. There you go, the naked boy. The naked boy, the naked man, you know? Flopping down on the ground, pretending that they're sick.
Watch this again, okay? Just
Tries to walk in too, but then he collapses as well. Get up and go inside.
that is not a little boy collapsing, okay? Come on, guys. This is fake. This is fake as could be. Fake as could be, okay? It's a hoax, period.
How about this? Off the Daily Observer, this is the paper in Monrovia, dated October the 14th. That's today. Let's look at this. Breaking: formaldehyde in water allegedly causing Ebola-like symptoms. Can you believe this, right?
This is Liberia's largest newspaper, okay? They've come out and reported on the fact that formaldehyde in their water supply is allegedly causing Ebola-like symptoms, all right? And this is very interesting, especially when you consider the fact that Ebola is being blown way out of proportion, and there seems to be evidence which suggests that at least 95% of the whole Ebola outbreak you see all over the news is a hoax, okay?
A man in Shiflin, a community located in the Marigibi County on the Robertsfield Highway, has been arrested for attempting to put formaldehyde into a well used by the community. Reports say around 10 a.m. he approached the well with powder in a bottle. Mobbed by the community, he confessed that he had been paid to put formaldehyde into the well, and that he was not the only one. He reportedly told community dwellers that we are many. They are agents in Harbel, Dolestown, Cotton Tree, and other communities around the country, he said. State radio ELBC reports that at least 10 people in Dolestown community have died after drinking water from poison wells. These fucking, oh my lord, these poor fucking people. I mean, as if they don't have it rough enough, right? With all the terrorism that their own state is committing on them. They have these agents that are going out and putting formaldehyde into the water system in order to make people look like they have Ebola. That's right, Ebola. The man also alleged that some water companies, particularly those bagging mineral water to sell, are also involved. So big corporations then. The poison, he said, produces Ebola-like symptoms and subsequently kills people. How fucking evil does it get, man?
The Observer had previously been informed that people dressed as nurses were going into communities with Ebola vaccines. Quote unquote. Once injected, it reportedly produced Ebola-like symptoms and sends victims into a coma.
The Observer had previously been informed that people dressed as nurses were going into communities with Ebola vaccines. Once injected, it reportedly produces Ebola-like symptoms and sends victims into a coma. So all these assholes and idiots and shills that come onto my videos and say how disgusting I am for not sympathizing with the people that are really sick. Did you ever stop to think for a second that maybe the government was behind these people being sick? Did you ever stop to think for a second that maybe it's the Red Cross that's behind these people getting sick? Right? How insane has it gotten? I feel so terrible for these poor people in Liberia. Once injected, it reportedly produces Ebola-like symptoms and sends victims into a coma. Shortly thereafter, victims expire. Communities are now reportedly chasing vaccine peddlers out of their communities after 10 children reportedly died from a vaccine in Bensonville. The peddlers were reportedly chased out of the community upon their next visit. I didn't even know, man. Chase them. I would take it a step further, man. This is just insane.
It is possible that the vaccine was composed of the same formaldehyde water mixture. This publication has received reports from families whose loved ones' organs are missing upon return of the bodies of the families. I'm like, this is like so sick.
I believe you are all being played. I believe this is a giant hoax that's being committed on you. I think they are making your people sick. They're killing your people. They're injecting them with vaccinations. I think it's one of the most despicable things that's ever been done. It's just unbelievable how disgusting this is. And I really think your governments and corporations at work there are working for the New World Order in order to convince you that Ebola is real and happening. And I don't think it is at all. I think Ebola is real in terms that there is a real bioterrorism weapon called Ebola that they developed in the 70s and that they've used it several times. But I don't think this outbreak is anything what they say it is. I think they are making people sick, and that's why many people are being brought into the hospitals looking like hell and you know, being really sick.
So there you go. I mean, promoting vaccinations, the vaccine agenda is right there, okay? That's in with this whole thing, right? It really is. Guys, you got to understand, especially here in the West, as I've said before in many other videos, this whole Ebola thing is being hyped up in the American media to roll out the vaccines, guys. Okay, so stop fear-mongering the Ebola. That's not even it, okay? That's not the plan. The plan is to vaccinate you, okay? Don't be afraid of the Ebola. Be afraid of the vaccines, all right? So, you know, that is what they are planning to do because most people will just line up, right? They'll line up, especially if the media is telling them that, you know, be afraid. Even the alternative media. So, yeah.
So now, fast forward to today. And not only do we have an Ebola rabies vaccine in development and being prepared by NIH, National Institutes of Health, and Thomas Jefferson University, but the same NIH is also spearheading this vaccine trial campaign with the infamous GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, as they are co-developing one as well. Human trials of GSK's experimental vaccine, which Britain's largest pharmaceuticals company is developing with the U.S. National Institutes of Health, NIH, are to be fast-tracked with funding from an international consortium. Vaccines normally take 10 years to develop, but GSK said it hopes to finish the first phase of trials by the end of 2014. You don't say. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something very, very sinister going on here behind this entire Ebola vaccine agenda. This is what it's all about, as you should clearly see by now. Yes, GlaxoSmithKline, a multinational pharmaceutical vaccine company, one of the largest in the world, largest in Britain, but this company just so happens to be as fraudulent and as corrupt as can be as well. And this has been documented. Surprised? So what do we have on record about this wonderful consumer healthcare company headquartered over in London that currently holds the responsibility of creating a vaccine for the protection of the public from this so-called Ebola crisis, right? Let's see how much your government cares about you. I'm sure this company is very nice. Let's see. What do we have here? GlaxoSmithKline fined $3 billion after bribing doctors to increase drug sales. Huh. Guardian. You don't say. Sales reps in the U.S. encouraged to missell antidepressants, Paxil and Wellbutrin, and asthma treatment, Advair. Wow. GlaxoSmithKline has admitted to corporate misconduct in the U.S. Pharmaceutical group GlaxoSmithKline has been fined $3 billion after admitting bribing doctors and encouraging the prescription of unsuitable antidepressants to children. Glaxo is also expected to admit failing to report safety problems with the diabetes drug Avandia and in district court in Boston on Thursday. The company encouraged sales reps in the U.S. to missell 3 drugs to doctors and lavished hospitality and kickbacks on those who agreed to write extra prescriptions, including trips to resorts in Bermuda, Jamaica, and California. Wow, you cannot get more scumbaggery, more fraudulent, more corrupt, more disgusting than this company right here, GlaxoSmithKline. You can put them up right up there with Monsanto, okay, and the rest of these evil companies that are running the show here. Okay, let's continue. UK government accepts swine flu vaccine cause narcolepsy in children. Guardian, swine flu vaccine can trigger narcolepsy. UK government concedes. Review of fresh evidence find jab given to 6 million people in Britain can occasionally cause sleep disorder. I wonder who created this swine flu vaccine. Let's see here. The Pandemrix vaccine, sounds like pandemic, made by GlaxoSmithKline, was given to high-risk groups, including children and those with asthma, diabetes, and heart disease at the height of the 2009-2010 swine flu pandemic. Across Europe, around 31 million people received the jab. The vaccine was made specifically to tackle pandemics and is very different to the normal seasonal flu vaccine, which has not been linked to narcolepsy. Yes, yep. Lest we forget that GSK manufactured this Pandemrix swine flu vaccine, which resulted in hundreds to several thousand children worldwide developing narcolepsy. And guess what? This swine flu, their swine flu vaccine, their little baby here, was also fast-tracked, not properly tested. That's going to sound more and more familiar to you guys as this Ebola vaccine agenda moves forward. And I'm going to show you that right now. But they used the children of the world as guinea pigs, okay, for an untested neurotoxic vaccine, okay? The result? Narcolepsy. And, you know, now the parents of children, of all of these children, are battling with governments to get compensation for the brain injuries, even to this day. Did you guys know this? Did you guys know that? Will you guys ever hear about this from your corporate nightly news when they are telling you not to worry that GlaxoSmithKline is coming to the rescue with the Ebola vaccine? Absolutely not. Never. I hope, if you're new to this, you're beginning to see the real picture here.
A new vaccine to prevent Ebola can't come soon enough.
Next week, we're going to be putting this vaccine for the first time in humans.
20 healthy adult volunteers in Maryland will get an experimental vaccine made by GlaxoSmithKline. Researchers hope it will trigger immunity to Ebola. The vaccine will also be tested in Britain and the African nations of Mali and Gambia. Human trials of other drugs are being expedited too, to fight an epidemic that at the moment seems unstoppable.
So remember how they quote-unquote fast-tracked their precious swine flu vaccine here? Again, it might sound familiar because that is exactly what they are doing again with this Ebola vaccine, right? Ebola vaccine trials fast-tracked by international consortium. Ebola vaccines racing forward at record pace, right? Fast-tracking an Ebola vaccine may prove too slow. I wonder what they have in mind. Can GlaxoSmithKline go from 0 to 150 on an Ebola vaccine program? Oh, wow. I'll leave you links for everything I'm showing you guys. I'm going to leave 1,000 links under this video, okay? It's a very simple business model, really. Create panic, and you have your approval without proper testing, right? You see how clever? And they can keep doing this because they know the public doesn't know or pay attention. And they know that the corporate media that they have in their pockets and are in league with will never report on anything negative surrounding these vaccine companies. Are you kidding me? You understand now? It's very clever, very, very clever, and very sinister.
Good morning. That's right. We're joined by Glaxo's Chairman of Research and Development and Vaccines, Dr. Moncef Slaoui. Dr. Slaoui, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, everyone.
It would be wonderful if you could walk us through where you are in development of your vaccine. We hear timelines like 10 years to develop a vaccine, but obviously given the scope of the outbreak in West Africa, you're accelerating that. Tell us how soon it could be developed.
Yes. Well, a vaccine actually usually takes anywhere between 10 and 30 years to go from the idea to being available at industrial scale and approved for human use.
So here we are on GlaxoSmithKline's website, helping fight Ebola. Yeah, see, we are dedicated to improving the quality of human life by enabling people to do more, feel better, live longer. Yeah, I'm going to leave you guys some links, okay, to their website here. You can look at their investors, their annual reports, how much money they make. Here's a PDF. You guys can investigate further, okay? I think I've shown you enough and shown you what this company is all about.
And more in regards to the vaccine agenda, you got your best buddy here, Bill Gates, putting up $50 million to fight Ebola. I wonder, come on, guys. You can't see what's going on here. And, of course, some of this money is going toward vaccines as well. As you can see right here, the money will be used to purchase supplies and to develop vaccines, therapies, and better diagnostic tools. It's all about reaping profits and, of course, poisoning people. Right? This guy. Look at this guy. I mean, he literally looks like a serpent creature. I don't know how anybody could ever trust a guy that looks like that. And obviously his actions as well. We got to take that into account as well. Even more telling than just his superficial appearances. But anybody with half an intuition can see what this guy's all about. Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Ebola is a psyop. I'm saying it's being hyped in the Western media and across the world in order to implement a vaccine agenda, and apparently now its true colors are really showing because the U.S., and this is breaking by the way, the U.S. is going to send 3,000 troops to Ebola danger zone as Obama administration shuffles military's mission in Africa. Okay? And according to this article just released out of the Daily Mail, aka Hoax Online, this initiative will involve an estimated 3,000 U.S. forces, and they're going to set up a military base in Monrovia, Liberia. And, of course, Liberia is probably the worst hit country so far when it comes to this Ebola outbreak in Africa. Yeah. Also, you got Sierra Leone, Guinea, and to a lesser extent Nigeria being affected as well, so you can expect some troops to be there eventually if everything goes according to plan with these Western elites, right? And this is an AFRICOM initiative, right? I'm sure many of you have heard of AFRICOM, right? You ever hear of Coney 2012? Yeah. This is very reminiscent of Coney 2012. For those of you that don't know what that is, look it up, okay? It was a propaganda campaign trying to trick everybody, particularly here in America, to support an invasion there in Africa. And of course, Coney didn't even exist. Okay, he died in 2006, I believe, and the whole thing was a big giant farce. And this video went viral. It was called Coney 2012. It was just unbelievable. It went viral. I mean, it got millions of views in like 2 days, like tens of millions. Okay, but it was exposed pretty thoroughly, and it didn't work. But this looks like it might work. This looks like it might work. People are being tricked. So, further on in this article, these 3,000 troops being sent to Nigeria are combat soldiers and Marines. Okay, these aren't just, health workers in the army. These are combat troops, okay? Infantry. So, I mean, what's that tell you right there? And they're claiming it's for logistics purposes and hospital building. Yes, of course. Yeah, okay, it's for logistics. Yeah, and building hospitals. That's what we want to do, even though we already sent supplies over there that weren't even going to the people getting sick. And the Department of Defense actually issued a statement about this, saying, now it looks like we're going to be the lead dog, and that's bound to make a lot of people nervous. It's understandable. Well, yeah, it sure is, because every time we send troops into a country, we claim it's for humanitarian purposes, and then we end up killing people. And that's what they're ordering our soldiers to do most of the time. But no one wants U.S. personnel enforcing someone else's martial law. Yes, so they're already suggesting that they want to implement martial law there. And yeah, he's saying, well, people aren't going to like if the U.S. is enforcing that martial law. Well, of course not. And you better know that's probably the plan.
But what most people don't realize is that if Ebola hits the US and the CDC enacts its public emergency procedures, even healthy Americans will be quarantined. A page on the CDC's official website entitled Legal Authorities for Isolation and Quarantine states that even well persons and persons who, quote, do not show symptoms can and will be forcibly quarantined. In addition, yesterday, President Obama signed an amendment to an executive order which allows for the detention of Americans merely with any kind of respiratory illness. The executive order amends 13375, which was originally signed by George W. Bush in April 2003, to state that any American with acute respiratory syndromes, including fever, signs and symptoms of pneumonia, or other respiratory illnesses, basically any respiratory illness, are subject to the original April 4th, 2003 Bush executive order, which allows for the, quote, apprehension and detention of aforementioned sufferers of respiratory illnesses. In addition, under the Model State Emergency Health Powers Act, passed in the wake of 9/11, provisions of which have been adopted in part or in full by 33 US states, federal health authorities would be able to usurp authoritarian powers to control an Ebola outbreak. And it's no surprise that at the time, the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons warned that the legislation, quote, could turn governors into dictators, because the act would empower federal authorities to seize all kinds of draconian powers, including the right to seize any and all public and private property. So given what's on the books in terms of how federal authorities will deal, remember, merely with the suspicion, the potential of an Ebola outbreak, not necessarily a pandemic in the United States, the prospective power grab that we could witness as a result of this crisis is unprecedented.
Red alert! Prepare for martial law in Dallas, Texas. Prepare for the vaccine rollout in early 2015, and prepare for the new invasion of Africa, West Africa, because Ebola has now been confirmed in Dallas, Texas. And this patient is being harbored at Presbyterian Hospital there in Texas. And now Governor Rick Perry says that a handful of school-age children had contact with this man and are being monitored. And of course, they're using this children meme. So basically, anybody who has had contact with anybody else, who has Ebola, can have their freedoms taken away and quote unquote be monitored by the experts, by the doctors. Am I right? Oh man, isn't this just the perfect storm to create a martial law type scenario and then eventually roll out the vaccines, as I've been saying.
Medical martial law here in Connecticut as a public health emergency has been declared over Ebola, and this is in turn indefinitely suspending the civil rights of the people here. What they've done is they have authorized the commissioner here to be able to isolate or quarantine any individual or group of individuals whom the commissioner reasonably believes to have been exposed to, infected with, or otherwise at risk of passing the Ebola virus. So this is what is happening here. And to top it all off, there has not been one single case in Connecticut. So people are concerned here, and they have a right to be, in an area where they have not seen any Ebola cases thus far. You have the governor with the swipe of a pen here signing away the people's rights. Now, what this means, when you want to read between the lines here, it is that they are able to detain and force vaccinate anyone without due process. Like I said, despite not one single person having this in Connecticut. So all they have to do is suspect that someone has this. They will lock them down, or they're going to throw you in jail if you go against it anyway, and they're going to have you locked down anyway, and then they're going to force vaccinate you. You see? This isn't good.
Hey guys, what's up? Blaine Cooper. Got some information I want to share with you. President Obama today, I'll show you the clip in a minute, gave the CDC power to call out SWAT teams to detain people who have the Ebola virus or potentially have it or are showing symptoms. Now, this is a precursor to martial law. We're not far off from it right now. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, you're just some crazy conspiracy guy. No, I'm a realist. I want you guys to think about this for a second, because with all the crises we have in America right now, it'd be real easy. Fear makes people do crazy things, and it's very easy to control people when they are in fear. So you get enough of the population who's in fear, wants the president to do something, he declares a state of emergency and declares martial law in America. But here's the kicker. If a president does that, then he cannot be removed from office. You heard that right. He can stay in as long as he wants. Because by law in America, in the state of a crisis or emergency, when martial law has been declared by the executive branch, elections are suspended and he cannot be removed. So think about that for a second of where this is really heading, because this is getting way out of hand with the power of the government, and now the CDC has the power to detain people out of fear of a virus. Amazing, because this is exactly what I expected to happen when Ebola started coming in here. I said, watch, they'll use this as an excuse to declare martial law, and Obama will never be able to leave office. He can stay in there as long as he wants.
What I've directed the CDC to do is that as soon as somebody is diagnosed with Ebola, we want a rapid response team, a SWAT team, essentially, from the CDC to be on the ground as quickly as possible. In addition, we are reviewing every step of what's happened since Mr. Duncan was initially brought in to the hospital in Dallas, so that we understand exactly where some of the problems may have occurred.
Well, everyone, there you have it. Everything I just presented in this video, I think, is undeniable proof that there is something very sinister behind this whole Ebola crisis. I go on to prove that some of this stuff is downright fabricated, right? But also, I went over some of the reasons why, some of the initiatives behind this agenda, and why this stuff's going on. All right, and just to recap for you guys, it's the vaccine initiative. To vaccinate everybody, also to make money off all that, and who knows what else, right? Also the martial law agenda here domestically to clamp down, take away your freedoms, all in the name of stopping Ebola. And thirdly, Africa, right? You got the diamonds over there, you got all the natural minerals, natural resources. That's what this is all about, those three agendas, and there's other factors involved as well, such as Obamacare and Obama's re-election or postponed election of the of president in 2016. So yes, indeed, and it does not end, guys. This stuff is endless. I mean, if you're not familiar with what's going on this planet, look up the New World Order. Okay, look up Agenda 21. Look up everything that's involved with corporation merging with government. That's basically what it is. It's been going on for at least a century. And that about sums it up, guys. I just want to thank everybody featured in this video. I mean, I can go on forever listing all the channels featured, but I'll 100% everybody will be in the description of this video, okay? Subscribe to all these channels, all right? And I just want to thank everybody for their hard work on this subject, and just keep doing what you're doing. Also, newcomers out there, do the research, okay? Do the research. World government, New World Order, Illuminati, folks. Look it all up. So that being said, subscribe to this channel, Press Reset Ultimate, and also my main channel, in which many of my videos are posted on, Press Reset Earth. So links for those channels in the description as well. That's all I got to say about that, guys. I know it's a lot to take in, but it's all for real. Keep your head up. Peace out.